Tell us where you're watching from and how long you've been following women's basketball. Would you take the money and go global, or stay and build the WNBA at home? Share your take in the comments, and subscribe for ongoing coverage of the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, the new CBA, and the league's global expansion. Your engagement helps us bring you faster, deeper reporting as this story develops. The WNBA is facing one of its most consequential moments in years. Multiple industry sources indicate that star guard Caitlin Clark has been approached with a blockbuster offer from China. An 8-figure package that blends appearance fees, endorsements, and a prominent role in a new women's basketball expansion push across Asia. The prospect is reverberating throughout league offices, player group chats, and sponsor suites, not only because of the size of the money at stake, but because of what it could signal about the balance of power in women's basketball. This is unfolding against the backdrop of a critical labor timeline. With the current collective bargaining agreement carrying opt-out dynamics that could bring negotiations to a head before the 2026 season, league and union leaders are already positioning to avoid any work stoppage. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has privately and publicly emphasized that a lockout or strike is not an option he intends to let materialize. The message from the broader NBA/WNBA leadership ecosystem is clear. Preserve momentum, keep the season on track, and align on a global vision before labor disputes derail progress. Layered onto that is a renewed strategic focus on China. After a turbulent period dating back to 2019, NBA-China relations have steadily thawed. Silver, speaking during league events in Macau, highlighted enduring fan interest, often estimated in the hundreds of millions, and he did not hide his intent to extend that opportunity to the WNBA once a new CBA is in place. Those remarks, according to several agents and international event promoters, set off a flurry of inbound calls to top WNBA representatives. Within 48 hours, multiple Chinese sports agencies were reportedly in touch with Clark's camp, proposing a package that would place her at the center of women's basketball programming in Asia. It is not hard to understand why. Clark is the rare athlete who moves every needle at once: television ratings, attendance, sponsorship, and youth engagement. Her college broadcasts rivaled marquee men's events. Her jersey sales shattered WNBA records before she logged a pro minute. On the road, she turns regular season nights into event programming. For overseas organizers who want to anchor a new women's platform, she represents scale from day one. The financial comparison is stark. By league standards, Clark's rookie salary hovered in the mid-five figures, a reality that underscores a long-standing critique. The WNBA's pay scale remains far below the marketplace value of its top stars. While off-court sponsorships and nil-style brand deals have helped bridge the gap for select players, international events can put life-changing cash on the table very quickly. Veteran WNBA MVPs once earned $1 to $2 million annually overseas with teams in Russia and China. Clark's commercial reach suggests even larger numbers as a headliner for a multi-city series backed by major sponsors. This is why the reaction across the basketball ecosystem was immediate and split. One camp argues that Clark should take the deal, capitalize on a peak moment, and set a new market for women's athletes globally. The other insists that if she leaves, even briefly, the WNBA's growth spurt could stall, sponsors could hesitate, and the league's negotiating leverage in the next CBA could soften. Both views are grounded in legitimate concerns: player empowerment on one side, league stability on the other. It is also why Adam Silver's role matters. The NBA's track record of globalizing the men's game, from Europe to Asia, offers a playbook he can adapt for the WNBA. In his recent comments from Macau, Silver signaled interest in staging WNBA games in Macau or mainland China after a new CBA is completed. The subtext was not subtle. The league wants to bring its stars to international markets under the WNBA umbrella rather than watch them play outside structures the league can oversee. In short, if a Caitlin Clark in China narrative is going to happen, Silver wants it programmed through the WNBA, not around it. This puts WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert under acute pressure. Engelbert has championed expansion, increased media revenue, and improved travel standards, but the optics have been unforgiving. Players have voiced frustration about pay and operations. Fan criticism has spiked during marquee events. Sponsors are watching. And now the league's most bankable star is being linked to a global offer the WNBA cannot match dollar for dollar. The history here is instructive. Long before Clark's arrival, elite WNBA players regularly spent winters overseas to supplement domestic income. Diana Taurasi famously skipped a WNBA season after a Russian club offered to pay her to rest. Brittany Griner and others built substantial earnings and global profiles through clubs like UMMC Ekaterinburg. The difference in 2024 to 2026 is scale, transparency, and social media scrutiny. An offer of this magnitude, tied to an organized women's basketball expansion across Asia and amplified in real-time online, would immediately reshape expectations for what a top WNBA star can command abroad. There is also a procedural nuance to consider. The WNBA's prioritization rules require players to report by set dates or risk suspension, a policy designed to prioritize league calendars over overseas commitments. However, off-season appearances remain permissible when scheduled around training camp and regular season obligations. If a Chinese offer is structured as a post-season exhibition series or a shoulder season tour, Clark could potentially participate without violating league rules. That possibility is precisely why league leadership will likely push to fold any Asia ventures into an official WNBA initiative, keeping control of dates, branding, sponsors, and player health protocols. From a market standpoint, the demand is real. China's basketball audience is vast, and corporate sponsors there have shown a willingness to invest in marquee basketball properties, especially when tied to high-visibility tours and broadcast packages. The NBA's own experience, television partnerships, preseason games, and merchandise offers a familiar lane. Extending that lane to the WNBA, with Clark as the primary draw, is not just plausible, it's commercially compelling. The question then is not simply, will Clark go? But under what framework does she go, and who sets the terms? If she accepts a fully external package, the WNBA risks losing control of its most valuable asset, even if only in the off-season. If she refuses and recommits entirely to a domestic build, she becomes the symbol of league-first loyalty ahead of CBA talks, strengthening her voice on revenue sharing, player safety, and marketing commitments. And if she splits the difference, agreeing to a WNBA-branded Asia series, she could catalyze the league's global strategy while shoring up her own earnings and leverage. Timing amplifies the stakes. With the next media deal on deck and the CBA clock ticking toward 2026, the WNBA is negotiating from a position of momentum but not yet of abundance. Viewership is rising. Attendance is up. Sponsorship is broader. Yet the league cannot flip a switch and pay NBA-level contracts. Even with a richer rights deal, player compensation will grow incrementally, and stars will still look elsewhere to maximize peak years. That reality is not a failure of leadership so much as the mechanics of a league still climbing the revenue curve. Still, perception matters. If a superstar's off-season overseas income dwarfs her WNBA salary, the gap becomes a talking point in every negotiation and press conference. It feeds a narrative that the league remains a platform to be supplemented rather than a destination that stands alone. The counterweight to that narrative is clear scheduling, league-sanctioned global events, and a CBA that converts growth into visible player benefits, expanded charters, stronger health coverage, performance bonuses, and a higher top-end salary structure. For fans and sponsors, the path forward is equally consequential. If Clark headlines a league-branded series in Asia, the WNBA can present a cohesive global story to partners. A single product, unified marketing, and consistent standards. If she accepts an external offer, the message is that elite women's basketball value can, and will, be capitalized globally, regardless of whether leagues keep pace. That is not a theoretical risk. European clubs and Asian agencies are watching the same metrics as North American sponsors, and they are moving quickly to secure talent while momentum is hot. Privately, team executives acknowledge the stakes. The WNBA has no formal mechanism to bar a player from off-season international appearances, nor is there a credible appetite to penalize a star for taking a legal opportunity. The more realistic path is strategic cooperation. Offer WNBA-sanctioned alternatives that match the visibility and a meaningful portion of the economics, even if they cannot match every dollar. That requires coordination among teams, the league office, the WNBPA, and, critically, the NBA's international partnerships team. From Clark's perspective, there is leverage either way. Accepting an offer, particularly one framed as a broader ambassadorship with appearances, clinics, and exhibition games, would cement her status as the highest-paid women's basketball player in the world. Declining it to focus on the domestic game would enhance her standing as a league builder ahead of CBA talks. In both scenarios, her negotiation power grows. What changes is who shapes the narrative: an external promoter looking to headline events, or a WNBA front office prepared to build a global schedule around its stars. It is worth noting that this is not a referendum on China alone. Europe remains an established market for women's basketball, and the Middle East has increasingly signaled interest in marquee events across sports. A global calendar for top women's players is not hypothetical. It's inevitable. The strategic question for the WNBA is whether it can become curator and beneficiary of that calendar rather than a bystander to it. There are practical concerns, too. Off-season workload, recovery windows, and the prioritization rule must be balanced against commercial aspirations. If the WNBA embraces more global events, it will need to codify guardrails for rest, travel, and insurance. That is where a new CBA can translate broad ideas into specific protections. How many international dates are permitted, who covers medical risk, what thresholds trigger rest requirements, and how appearance-based income interacts with league contracts and marketing rights. What happens next will likely unfold on 3 parallel tracks. First, expect quiet conversations between the WNBA, the NBA, and Clark's representatives about a league-sanctioned Asia slate that can deliver major sponsorships and media value without undermining domestic obligations. Second, watch for public posture from the WNBPA as it seeks tangible wins ahead of CBA talks, improvements that demonstrate momentum to the rank and file. Third, anticipate external suitors escalating their offers, continuing to test whether individual star power can outpace league infrastructure. For the broader sports business community, this story is a case study in modern athlete economics. Brand value is no longer confined to league paychecks. It lives in streaming viewership, social reach, merchandise, and the ability to anchor events far from home. Caitlin Clark sits at the intersection of those forces in a way few athletes, male or female, ever do this early in their pro careers. That is why every stakeholder is treating this as more than a bidding war. It is a referendum on who gets to define the future of women's basketball. The WNBA's recent gains are real. Expanded media windows, surging attendance in key markets, and improved travel standards are not trivial wins. Yet the league is still maturing into the kind of financial engine that can keep superstars from exploring outside opportunities. In that growth phase, partnerships matter. If the league can channel global demand through its own pipeline, leveraging NBA relationships, unifying sponsors, and protecting player welfare, it can convert the current flashpoint into a durable advantage. If it cannot, the market will fill the gap. China's interest is not a rumor mill outlier. It is a rational response to audience size and commercial potential. Europe will continue to invest as well. Fans want to see the best players, wherever they are. The league that offers the most seamless path to those moments, consistent scheduling, premium broadcasts, safe travel, will win. For now, the most accurate headline may be this: Caitlin Clark's decision will shape the next phase of WNBA growth, but the league's response will define it. Whether her next steps happen under a WNBA banner in Asia or via an independent deal abroad, the league has an opportunity to show it can scale with its stars, not chase them. Where do you stand? If you were in Caitlin Clark's position, would you take the global offer or stay focused on the WNBA and push for a bigger domestic deal in the new CBA? Drop your thoughts below, tell us where you're reading from, and subscribe for breaking updates on WNBA free agency, CBA negotiations, and the league's international expansion plans.